Residents of New York City, what do you really know about this place? How did it get here? Why is it called New York? You may assume some pilgrim-looking deviant settled here, stuck a stick in the ground, and called it New York City, but that is not the case. The island of Manhattan was originally settled in 1625 by the Dutch, who stuck a stick in the ground and called it New Amsterdam. This island was part of a larger area, including more of modern-day New York and Connecticut, called New Netherland. The last Dutch general to rule over the area of New Amsterdam was a man named Peter Stuyvesant, who surrendered the colony to the British in...
Wait. Did you say Stuyvesant? I live in Stuytown. I know that name.
Yes, Stuyvesant. You may know this name from a series of places in New York City, perhaps Stuyvesant Town or Stuyvesant Square, maybe the newly gentrified area of Bedford-Stuyvesant. Perhaps you know Stuyvesant High School.
Okay, we get it. It's a popular name. What gives?
Right, okay, well, the name Stuyvesant belongs to the late and great Peter Stuyvesant, who was the final Director General to the New Netherlands colony, specifically New Amsterdam. Stuyvesant lives on a farm down by the East River called the Bowery. Bowery is actually the Dutch word for farm, but he is also responsible for the popularization of the name Bowery in New York. One of the things we can thank General Stuy for is establishing a sense of law and order in a fast-growing community of different cultures. During his rule, New Amsterdam quadrupled in size from 2,000 to 8,000 residents, which could be considered the birth of Manhattan's proud reputation for being the home to a vast melting pot of cultures. Stuyvesant is also responsible for erecting a protective wall on the southern border of the city. Heard of Wall Street?
Well, Hector, here's the game plan. You're gonna bring us 2 absolute martinis. You know how I like them, straight up. And then precisely 7½ minutes after that, you're gonna bring us 2 more. Then 2 more after that, every 5 minutes until one of us passes the fuck out.
Excellent strategy, sir.
I'm good with water for now, though. Thank you.
It's his first day on Wall Street.
Is where its name comes from.
Wall Street? Of course I'm familiar. This guy was baller. Who knew?
Not too fast, Ace. Do you know why he built the wall? Let's cut to one of our favorite segments called Why They Built That Wall!
Name something a doctor might pull out of a person. Darcy.
A gerbil.
Okay. We don't have to play a game. We get it. So who is he trying to keep out?
Great question. Stuyvesant represented what a lot of great white leaders represent. Oppression. He was an authoritarian leader who refused to share his power with anyone. His citizens, not having much respect for the autocrat, even referred to him as Peg-Leg Stuyvesant. Despite his numerous accolades around the city, Peter Stuyvesant is a deeply problematic figure. He was highly intolerant of religions outside of his Dutch Reformed upbringing. He forbade other Christian sects from assembling a church, even attempting a ban against private gatherings. In 1657, Stuyvesant called for the public torture of Robert Hodgson, a 23-year-old Quaker preacher, and created an ordinance against any individual safeguarding Quakers, punishable by fine and imprisonment. Furthermore, Stuyvesant refused to allow Jewish refugees into the colony, referring to the collective Jewish community as the deceitful race that should not be allowed to further infect and trouble this new colony. Stuyvesant was not able to fully prevent Jewish settlers from entering New Amsterdam. However, he kept this group from erecting a synagogue. Their community also had to remain entirely self-sufficient. Some historians consider Stuyvesant's noteworthy prejudice and intolerance towards others a precursor to the United States constitutional provision on freedom of religion in the Bill of Rights. Most people are not aware of Peter Stuyvesant's unsettling past, which has allowed his monuments and namesakes to stand throughout time. But as long as we allow for parks, statues, schools, and monuments to be named after such problematic figures, the longer the acceptance of their behavior is perpetuated. To maintain a statue of Peter Stuyvesant is to maintain him in a position of honor and decoration that antagonizes the rich, deep Jewish roots and contributions within New York City.
Well, damn. Is there anything that we could do about this?
Alexa, how do we rid New York City of the abominable remnants of oppressive leaders that are still glorified on every other street corner?
I don't know that one.
Crap.
What if we just tear down the statues dedicated to this guy and rename his memorials?
Then what? Just leave gaping holes across the city?
Obviously, we would have to start small. We could replace the statue in Stuyvesant Square.
Well, in 1836, Peter Gerard Stuyvesant, the great-great-grandson to Peter Stuyvesant, donated 4 acres of his family's farm to the city of New York for only $5. The park was originally meant to be named Holland Square, in tribute to his great-grandfather. The park would open to the public in 1850, But the addition of Peter Stuyvesant's statue would not come until 1941. The statue was originally meant to represent the spirit of a great leader, the last Governor General of the Dutch colony of New Amsterdam.
Oh, but instead it represents a man who tried to keep anyone different than him out. An authoritarian despot who was so insecure about his peg leg that he tried to compensate by making himself the epitome of a man in power.
AKA a racist piece.
Exactly. So what do we do?
Who could we memorialize that would be more conducive to the true history of New York City?
What about Ray Frank?
Who's Frank?
Ray Frank. She was a Jewish woman who was responsible for expanding the female sphere within the Jewish community and paving the way for any female who wished of becoming a rabbi. Although she was never ordained herself, she is considered the first female religious speaker amongst the Jewish community.
Okay, this could definitely work. Go on.
She began her career as a school teacher, where she spent 6 years gaining confidence in both public speaking and teaching. From there, she moved home to California, where she continued her education at UC Berkeley, while simultaneously teaching at the Sabbath School of Oakland's First Hebrew congregation. It was her written pieces which gained her attention from the public. She began touring to each new city in her area, releasing pieces which commented on the present state of American Jewry. The first sermon she chose to give was titled The Maiden in the Temple, and explored the obligation each member of the community should oblige to. This would be the catalyst that caused her popularity to skyrocket, ultimately sending her around the country to speak with other Jewish communities. These events are what led to her earning the title of Lady Preacher. If it weren't for Ray Frank, Regina Jones may have never challenged herself and become the first female rabbi. Ray Frank set the stage and opened the door for Jewish female religious leaders, but it's her endless effort to educate and bring communities together that should earn her a place in a city with such a rich Jewish history.